Welcome to the Landmark Theater's Q&A podcast. In this podcast, you will hear a discussion with actor Dev Patel, actor Sunny Pawar, and author and film subject Saroo Brierley from the film Lion, moderated by journalist Andrew Warne, recorded at the Landmark in West Los Angeles.
Hey, good. Hi, Dave. Yeah, good. yeah. I wasn't going to start with Sunny, but come on. We all know who the scene stealer is, right? Now, Sunny, this is fantastic. How long have you been acting?
3 after 3.
Since I was born.
I know the director Garth Davis said when he saw early footage of you reminded him of Charlie Chaplin. Do you know who that is?
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee? Oh, Bruce Lee instead. Okay, there you go. Good boy, Sonny.
Charlie Chaplin.
It's Charlie Chaplin for him. But yeah, he knows Charlie Chaplin, yes.
Saroo, to begin with you, I've been meaning, I wanted to ask you this. Do you remember the moment in your childhood when you made the decision to search for your birthplace and your birth family? Was it a gradual process, or did it sort of hit all at once?
It was an extremely gradual process because, you know, it's all of a sudden being in India and going through all the stages and phases of being with my family, then, you know, getting on the train and getting lost, to coming to Calcutta and, you know, going through the trials and tribulations and all the sort of life-threatening situations. And then all of a sudden, just like that, you know, coming out of India to Australia. And being in Australia, it's such a, you know, the difference between, you know, being in India and then all of a sudden being picked out and came to Australia in this sort of magical sort of place with the ambience and the aesthetic view from absolute havoc in India. It's just, you know, the mind sort of boggles, and that's what stayed in me, as well as the fear of knowing what's happened to my sister, what's happened to my mother. All of a sudden, you know, I was there once, and then, I don't know, it just came into another world. So, yeah, it was like a, you know, it was all sort of burnt into me, and it's never to be forgotten because it was this grey X factor area that I didn't know what to do with because I didn't know the language, I didn't know how to explain to anyone because, like, when I came to India, Australia, no one knew what actually happened to me, and I couldn't tell my adoptive family, mother or father, that I was actually on a train. You know, and this happened to me, and I was in Calcutta, and I stayed there for so many times, for so many weeks, trying to sort of defend myself. And sorry, is that better?
Could maybe get some more volume on the audio.
Yeah, probably. It's a bit of okay. So anyway, it was a massive transition, you know, from coming from India to Australia and not knowing what actually happened to me. So that's just stayed burnt in my memory and never to be forgotten because that was my past. And if I lost that, then there was no way of getting back.
What compelled you to write the book?
I was actually asked after the news had actually gone out, you know, from India, all over India, they came to Australia and then went sort of snowball, you know, in all nations. I got asked by 4 publishing companies, would you like to write a book about your memoir, about your life? And, you know, it was a personal sort of a decision to make, and I had to sort of ask myself, you know, should I? And also had to ask my family as well, should I? But I just thought, you know, let's do it because, you know, everyone finds this story so captivating, so enthralling. And, you know, hopefully it makes maybe a change in someone. Perhaps there's someone out there that's been in my situation and this movie could change their life or finding their sort of lost one as well, ultimately. No. So that was the reason, really.
I imagine it was only a matter of time before the idea of a movie came into play. Dev, how was the script? How did it arrive to you, and what were your impressions when you read it?
Hello, guys, by the way. Thank you so
Dev
much
Patel.
for coming today. This means a lot to us, by the way. Are these loud enough? Can they hear me? Okay. You can hear me, right?
Is it up the back? Can you hear?
Should I talk loud? Is this okay? Okay. Yeah, I read about the story in a newspaper. I was completely blown away by the idea of being able to step into a performance space and a journey that a British Indian guy never really gets the opportunity to do. You know, we're normally given these goofy sidekick roles or the funny best friend or whatever. And, you know, this film presented a big opportunity for me, and I'm also a mummy's boy, so the idea of, you know, for this is an anthem of mothers and sons, you know. It's a really diverse picture, you know, and it really is a testament to the human will and spirit, and that's everything I would love to try and, you know, put forward in cinema in a way.
Right. Well, of course, you were born in England, and you've mentioned that you sort of rejected your heritage until you made Slumdog Millionaire, and sort of...
We've interviewed together, so this is... okay.
That's right. And so you said you sort of shunned your heritage until that time. Was the cultural appropriation an aspect of the story that appealed to you?
So there's part, you know, it's interesting, this role, because it's split into two parts. You've got Scene Stealer right here. Sonny! Fist bump. And he leads this audience. He carries the film on his little shoulders for over an hour. And then I pop up out of the water. You know, in one Q&A, he dropped his mic when he knew we were talking about him, and he stood up and went like this. Remember that? Yeah, you do. But, you know, there's almost like a baptism where he comes out of the water, and me, Saroo, it's weird. You know, the role that I adapt to, you know, kind of is a modern, young Australian guy who goes back to this country almost like an alien to that land. And that was something that I could really relate to, because growing up...
Australia, it's a foreign land, you know.
No, but, you know, growing up in school, there was a part of me that suppressed my culture, my heritage, to fit in. The school I went to avoid being bullied. And going and filming Slumdog Millionaire for the first time was when I really experienced the city, and I became a more conscious human being. And all those preconceived notions I had in my head, or, you know, silly playground things you hear, I was 16 at the time, it completely were dispersed. And I could relate to that, a guy suppressing part of his past, and then going back there and all of a sudden feeling a connection to the environment as well as feeling alien. And Garth gave me that note, you know. The first scene we shot in the film, shot in the film, was the end scene, the scene where I meet the mother. That was the first thing I committed to. And he just said, every wall you touch, everything you piece, it should ignite a memory in your, you know, something, an essence of nostalgia. So it's pretty cool.
The Indian family has yet to see the film. It hasn't been translated yet. So I imagine, Saroo, that's going to be an exciting time for you, or nerve-wracking.
No, I think it's going to be a real exciting time, because there's telling the story to my biological mother, but I don't think she knows the extent of what really actually happened by, you know, seeing it visually. So I think it's going to be, you know, an interesting time actually showing to her and my brother and sister to what really happened to Saroo. So everything sort of pulls together like a puzzle. It's like, okay, we didn't realise that when you're talking, we imagined this, but in fact, really, it was this, what we see in front of us in motion picture. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it actually with them. Right. So it'll be exciting.
Right. I understand how do you call her? Your Australian mum, your adopted mum, or you're just your mum?
I call her, my mum.
Just mum,
yes,
yeah. I gather she was the one who suggested Nicole Kidman portray her in the film.
She had a few, you know, written down. I heard, you know, she wants to be portrayed as, but she's Nicole and her, they just gelled so well. First time they met, you know, they talked about things, that, they both were sort of aware of and knew about, like adoption. And, it was amazing because Mum came back after meeting Nicole Kidman in Sydney first time, and she showed me this photo and she said, oh, she's so sort of maternal, I guess, in a way, so sort of clenching and holding on to her. So it was like, they were like kindred spirits, really.
Right. And for you, Dev, I know you said your first scene was with the birth mum, but one of your first other scenes was one of the final scenes with Nicole when she's expressing her feelings about having adopted the two children. What was that scene
great
like?
with this. There's no spoiler alert because you've all seen it.
That's right.
Yeah, so the first scene I shot in Australia with Nicole was that scene where she's talking about why she adopted these children. And it's this beautiful speech about how he's like, I bet you wish you could have had your own children because they wouldn't bring baggage. And she opened her soul for this. Like, she really did. She's a mother with adopted children. I entered the set and everyone was quiet. And Nicole was sitting on that chair looking out at the sea. And it was just like, okay, we've got to step into this gently and approach this scene like that.
Sonny, tell me what it was like for you making the movie, being alone on the train, in the train station. And was it all exciting or overwhelming?
मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लगा सीन में करके और नहीं लगा थोड़ा लगा फिर मैं जीना उनका दिल तोड़ के मैं किया.
Okay, am I loud enough? So basically, it was great fun for me to be a part of the train sequences and all the scenes. I had fun with everyone. It was a little scary and I was a little nervous, but I'm brave, I'm courageous, and I did it. Take a bow, Sonny.
Oh my goodness. As you might imagine, Sonny has made another film since he made Lion, so his career's off. Oh, goodness. Saroo, I know it was a lengthy process, and thanks to Google Earth, it took I think roughly 3 years for you to,
5 years.
from
5 years.
5 years,
yeah.
okay, to actually, that's a lot of scrolling.
Yeah. It was actually because the internet was just so slow, and when you're sort of zooming down, the refresh rate was quite slow too. And so, you just go click like that, and it was like, oh, hurry up, please. Today, Junior. And that's why sort of in the latter part of the 5 years of searching, it became a lot faster because the internet became a lot faster. And you could sort of zoom down quickly and see whether, if this town sort of resembled the one in your memory. And if it didn't, you could shoot off to, another sort of a town that may look alike. So, I think, I was down to sort of technology. The quicker technology got, the quicker my eyes got, because they were trained so well that I could sort of, be quite a high distance, zoomed out, and I could be just flicking and flicking and flicking and almost, almost sort of sleeping. But yeah, it was amazing how well my eyes were, and if the station didn't look like what I had sort of in my memories, then, I just went to the next one. But it was extremely lengthy, and there was times where you walked away in dismay and thought, this is just crazy. You're going crazy. But I was so hooked. I was so, I don't know, I just couldn't let it go because I was at, around 20, in the latter parts, around 26, 27, 28, and I think it's a change for everyone at that sort of age where we make sort of great decisions, whether we get married or move away. For me, it was this, and I wasn't going to let go. I was just determined to find it, and it was great being like that because you could see the puzzles, all starting to fit together. It's like it's not in the south. It's not in the north because it's too cold up there. Definitely couldn't be on the right because you end up in Burma somewhere. So, that radius line actually was pointing towards where I should be going. But one couldn't conceive that it was really out there. A boy couldn't possibly travel from the left side of India to the right side of India. It's just didn't sort of occur. But it was a long journey.
We get an idea from the film, but what was that moment like for you when you saw your birth mother for the first time?
Well, you know, who could ever have thought from, you know, heaven and earth that something like this would ever occur, that I'd be actually see her again. All I really wanted initially is like, here's my town, you know, on Google Earth in cyberspace, but I just want to go back and make sure it's the right place. Just to like take my socks off, my shoes, and just walk the streets that I used to. I didn't know. I didn't want to get like expectations that, oh, my family are there. Because expectations, I wouldn't know what it would do to me if I thought, you know, well, my expectations, my family's going to be there, I'm going to find them, and they're not there. So you're in a place where it's not alienating, but it's, you know, it's different. You've never been there. You've never been back for 25 years. So you've got to have this shield, this facade to sort of, as a safety barrier, just in case expectation wasn't met and something else could have happened. And yeah, but that moment when, you know, eyes of my mother and myself sort of met, such a pivotal time. And it was great, you know. We both were in tears, we hugged, and, you know, for her it was like, how has this happened? You've materialised in front of me after 25 years, just like a ghost. You disappeared like a ghost and you came back.
It's extraordinary. How much... yeah, indeed. Extraordinary. How much time did the two of you and Dev, spend together? Did you have anything to say in his casting? Or?
Look, I'm really grateful that you know, Dev's played me as Saroo in the latter years. There, I think he's done a fantastic job. And when we first met, I didn't know anything. It's like everything's just expedited so quickly, from finding my hometown to the media coming in to writing a book to a documentary, and then all of a sudden you're being told that there's a movie about you. Then all of a sudden, oh, Dev Patel's going to play you. I'm just like, I haven't even just sort of, you know, realised that I found my family and my mother, because I didn't think that day would ever come. So hence, you know, why I said it's expedited so quickly. But we sort of talked and talked about just general stuff, and yeah, I think he's done some bit of a research on me. But he's a great guy, on stage and off the stage, charismatic, full of effervescence and vitality.
You're making him look good. That's good.
Say good things about me.
Garth Davis, who's a young Australian director, this is his first feature film. He worked a little bit in television on a show with Jane Campion called Top of the Lake, which some of you might have seen, but this is his first feature film. Did you have any apprehensions about a first-timer taking on quite a impressive project?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Put me on the seat there. Hey, look, from getting a business degree to working in hospitality, to working in my dad's, my family business in the sort of industrial sector of selling hose and fittings, lifting gear, marine gear, and dealing with big, mega sort of company sectors. We're all very sort of business orientated, and you know, I was, from having that background to knowing that here's a film that's been sort of made by Garth, and I've sort of looked, you know, back on some of the work that he's done. You know, I think he's done great work in his past, but everyone should be given a chance, and you know, what he sort of has produced has been sort of absolutely sensational. And you know, I've never actually worked with him, but Garth was actually there right on 60 Minutes in 2013, and he was already wanting to be part of it and wanting to find out, you know, where I've come from, meet my mother, go to all the stages and phases in India that I went to. So, you know, he was a guy that wasn't just chosen; he wanted to be just like just like Nicole and Dev, they wanted to be in this movie, and it was just chosen. They actually pushed themselves to be in it, and that's a great feeling for myself and my family. But he's done a miraculous job, and kudos to him.
We'll open it up to the audience in a second, but just the film has won numerous prizes, audience awards at some of the festivals. Are you, I can't imagine, are you surprised at all that the film has touched a nerve?
Geez, a lot of questions towards me.
All right.
No, I just didn't really know, how it sort of... I know that when I tell my story before it became a motion picture, that it sort of resonated a lot in people, and everyone would say it's there's hope and there's determination in this film. There's it's a testament to the human spirit, and there's so much attributes in this movie that you can talk about, and affects people in different ways from what kind of mental situation that you're in. But I'm just really happy and humble and touched that this movie has that effect on people, and hopefully it's all in the positive ways.
I know that you said that when you first arrived in Australia and the adoption went through and you were living with your adoptive parents, you didn't really have the language to be able to explain anything. But then as you went to school and you developed a vocabulary and you were able to speak, did you ever have conversations with them about your memories?
There was a language breakdown, and until I learnt the language, I couldn't tell my parents or anyone really. In India, the adoption home didn't even know what I had actually gone through because my vocabulary was so minuscule. It was like 5, 6 words. I couldn't even string a sentence together because I never went to school. I never knew how to articulate properly. Hence, when I said Ganesh Tele, when it's Ganesh Tele, when I said Burhanpur, it's Burhanpur. Those, what I've been saying for such a long time, even my name, that's, it was just time before that happened. And Mum used to sit me down on a rainy day and she'd go, let's talk about, when I had language, when I had vocabulary as well of the English language, that let's talk about your past life, Saroo. And I said it in sort of simple ways, that this happened. I was only young. I was only like 6, 7 when I'm able to actually speak in English, just really simply. And but Mum's got this massive 2 books of everything that I used to talk about and say, and drawings, and she was like my psychologist. And yeah, it's amazing. After 25 years, when I asked her, when I found my family, my hometown on Google Earth, I asked her to bring those books out, and it's like there was so much details, and I think that was a great thing that she did, was to document everything down that I used to say when I was a kid, because now it makes sense because I've sort of forgotten a little bit about it. And even to the day, I said to her, I don't remember my father's name, but it was written there. His name's Munshi. And I'd forgotten, as an adult that, I don't remember his name anymore. But she wrote it down. Amazing woman.
The question was, after living through something traumatic and leaving India to grow up in Australia, and with the 2 families not living a similar life, how do you compromise and deal with it?
It isn't. I'm pretty streamlined. We talked about this with my family, my adoptive family, and for me, we sort of touched on it, but for me, it's best to not be sort of torn between the 2 worlds. I've been in Australia for 29 years, and if you're going to ask Saroo, are you more Indian than Australian? It'd be stupid to say I'm more Indian. Because I've learnt the language, the culture, the food, the people, my mum and dad. So, I'm more Australian than Indian. And from my biological mother's perspective, she's just happy to know that what's your number, where do you live, and give us a call once a month or two, and that's it. And you know, she's proud to see what her son has become, and she's proud of my adoptive mother too for doing what she did. So.
I have a question. Sorry, Dev. I want to know what questions you had for Saroo.
Look, I'd prepped 8 months for the role, so I felt like I'd known him.
But
before we met.
6 of those was learning the Australian accent.
Yeah,
right?
well, all 8 actually. But which the idea of this, Saroo said something really interesting to me when we first met about the idea that every scroll of that mouse, every click of that button was getting him one step closer to his mother. That blew my mind, because a lot of this was me staring at a blank computer screen, trying to muster these deep emotions and stuff. But I felt like I'd known him, so we sat there and just watched him. We ate breakfast, and it was kind of more a bonding than anything else.
All right. Well, thank you so much for staying and coming for the film. And
Thanks very much.
You have been watching the Landmark Theatre's Q&A podcast. For further in-depth discussions with filmmakers, be sure to check out the other Q&As available on our channel from past films. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all our bonus content. Thanks for watching.